Oh, why, hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I was just packing a little bowl here, getting ready to enjoy a wonderful Friday morning smoke as we pull up the cutting edge of good news. Oh my gosh, it's so good to have made it to today, to this Friday's show. We got a really fun show lined up. This is just so like I skipped this last week as like our first week back after the break, and we had to catch up on serious news, but I don't think there's anything more serious in terms of importance than human progress and looking at that. And today we bring you the cutting edge of good news. We've got 5 categories, as we do on every Friday. First, the cutting edge of human optimization. Yeah, we're going to be putting implants in brains. It's going to be fun. The cutting edge of tech innovation. There's a lot in this. There was so much in this. It had to bleed into other categories. Exploration, of course, yeah. Believe it or not, the final frontier stretches onward, and a lot of amazing things are going on, and a lot of amazing things we have to look forward to in 2021 we're going to get into today. Elon Musk still looming large in that sphere, of course. And then we've got the cutting edge of good news of alien life. Yeah, that's right. We have the possibility of an alien life form drive-by. And then we've got a big section on understanding nature. And this is, I can't believe that for so long. I mean, when I was a kid, I was so connected with the natural world, and it took until coming out here to Gardenia and homesteading, get my fingernails are still dirty from doing site prep yesterday. and to kind of reconnect with nature that way, but also on the show to be able to talk about that there's a volcano mouse that was on the brink, not of a volcano, but of extinction, that is coming back now. We've got rockfish and porpoises, and I mean, there's a kid who found a dinosaur footprint. That can still happen in the world that we live in. So pull up a smoking device of your choice, kick up your feet, and I hope you enjoy this episode, special Friday edition of the Cutting Edge of Good News. Let's get Comment Jim Freedom up here, because I know he's going to want to join me for this one.
What up? What's going down?
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
Well, hey, everybody, one of the fun things we like to do with our Friday episodes is take calls as well. Jim is going to be getting the link to call in if you're watching live, wherever you might be watching this broadcast. I don't know where we are anymore. I don't really care. I just love that we have an amazing engaged audience and supporters in our producers club, making the show possible every day. But also, as you heard those 5 categories, we take suggestions as well, because there's no way that we could catch everything that's relevant in the cutting edge of good news. So if you have something that we're missing that you want to share, text it into the comments. Matt Baxley first. Yeah, okay. Richard, what's up? Thank you. Oh, yeah, Richard, real smart comment, Mr. Cranium. Peter Gable, have a blessed, safe, and free weekend. Well, man, we are scrambling now. It turns out they wanted to deliver our Home Depot stuff yesterday. And they came out here, and I
looked at your robe.
Yeah, I drove the driver. He got out of his semi, not quite a semi, but very large delivery truck with a flatbed, and got in my pickup, and we drove back here. And he was like, "No, we're gonna wait a few days." So that had to be put off till Tuesday. And then I got a call right after that saying that they wanted to deliver the buildings on Tuesday. And I'm like, "Oh, let's wait until Thursday." So that's what's happening this next week in Gardenia and this weekend. I'm going to be scrambling here, doing some site prep, getting everything ready for these buildings to be dropped, and it's a pretty exciting time here in Gardenia. Big moment of at least facility expansion. Yeah, we got to start up 3D printed houses today. So, Jim, any other comments so far? Anything that you want to note? I mean, just in terms of the subject matter of the show today. I know some of this stuff isn't news because you've seen it in the Producers Club chat, right?
Right. That's true. Well, nobody is offering anything just yet. Anarchy, I don't know if you want to get into this yet. Anarchy Television says anarchy is the only true freedom and liberty. Do you want to split those hairs?
Well, there are, assuming we know the definition of is the only true, then you have three really big nebulous words left in that sentence. And if you define them correctly, sure, true. Anarchy Television also says we'll blow some smoke this way. I need to contact Buzz. Well, I hope we get a contact Buzz from my enjoyment and enthusiasm for all of the stories that we've got lined up today. Calvin, good to have you fighting.
Just for the record,
Calvin
has said that 3 days in a row. He comes on just to say that 3 days in a row.
All right, well, troll comments and debate bait, welcome as well. Stephen McClure's with us. Yo.
CJ literally took over the comments, by the way. I'm not doing anything. He's going crazy. He's just the one going, I'm going to do Jim's job for him. He's distracted.
All right.
You'll like
well,
this
that's
one.
cool too. I don't mind.
Get off my comment, CJ. He's
extra comments thrown up, and I think it enriches the show.
Grow your own. This is what I wanted to put up and get to. This is what the link looks like. The thing that says StreamYard, that's the thing that you click on to call into the show. You can put your camera down and call in as audio only if you're camera shy. So click that link, put it into your browser, call into the show.
So Jim will be watching comments. If he's got good links, if you guys send him good links and he verifies, he's going to send them to the Producers Club, and I'll see him there. And if you want to call in, you're going to be in the queue. Producer CJ will see you backstage and get you on in turn, right? What is that? Is he like coming on as a mysterious spinning circle?
He just like to come on and give a salute real quick when he's mentioned briefly sometimes. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to use the wrong hand too, just on purpose. It's the wrong hand, sir.
Yeah, we double salute around here.
I like to salute so hard, I use both hands.
That's extra respect. Return salutes, of course. Yeah, how many veterans do you think you just pissed off by? Like they're like, it wasn't proper.
My salute is so good that I have to salute myself back just so that the universe doesn't fall apart. If I watch, like you'll feel this in Phoenix, if I just go, and I don't counterbalance that, the space-time continuum will have a rift. So I go, boom, safe.
Put those sharp knife hands away, sir. Those are deadly weapons, and Democrats are trying to ban them as speak. Good day, sir.
This is you know what this is? This is the new Space Force salute. we get some Space Force salute because they don't carry a rifle, right? They don't carry. There's no guns in space. Why? So they got both hands free at all times. So, wah! Or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's something else. All right, we're going to that already.
1054 points out my shirt. He says, I hope Alcor saw your shirt, Jim, and appreciates the effort. I work hard so my dog can have a better life.
Yeah. All right, Jim. Well, speaking of the Producers Club, we're going to be using that today and looking at that right now. It's how we communicate live backstage during the show. You want to tell people how they can join if they don't have the call of the day today? Or the top
If you don't call or you don't feel like winning access into the Producers Club, visit AdamVersusTheMan.com. Let me start that over. AdamVersusTheMan.com, and there's a button there, Patreon. Click on the Patreon link. It'll show you the different levels of support, how you can support the show. $1, $5, $10, or $50 a month. $10 a month is the sweet spot to get you access. Falcor, stop it. Get away from the tripod. Sorry. Oh, he messed the show up. Where was I? Yeah, so that gets you access into the Patreon group, which is a private Telegram chat that we talk on backstage during the show, and a 24 hours chat for sharing links and everything. What you're seeing here is the public Telegram channel. That's fun too. It's not as cool. It's like a level less cool as the private chat, but it's still very
I do
cool. So
some
join that as
exclusive
well.
content in there. It's fun, and we're gonna get better organized with all that. The more people join, but I put the links in there every day. So if you just want like, I mean that's the right now that's the biggest, that's the most content in there. Is we post all the links for the day's show, and it's a pretty cool digest just like that. Even the
Right.
stories I don't get to.
Yeah, get yourself another device. You can pull up the links, and as you're pulling up the links, you can click on them yourself and read along or read ahead and see if there's anything that you might have missed or something like that. After that, yes, go to adamversusaman.com/store and check out all the merchandise that's been put together. You can buy an awesome Jim Freedom shirt and represent, or a Freedom towel. They got coffee mugs, Freedom beanies. I got to go pick up my laptop sleeve, flip flops. I need to get a pair of. Just check the store out. Make sure to hit the load more button at the bottom because we got more merch than we know what to do with. So take it from us. After that, visit cigarfederation.com. Anybody that likes tobacco and likes to ingest it in cigar form, it's a great website where they got a ridiculous amount of flavors to choose from, exotic flavors, whipped cream, all kinds of stuff. JSK. And use promo code Adam10. I guess I could do that part for ZJ. Oh, he's got it covered. ADAM10, all caps, gets you 10% off of your entire order over there at cigarfederation.com. So check them out and enjoy. And lastly, if you want to check out everything that's going on with Adam up in Gardenia, and you want to keep up with all the things he's talking about that are about to be happening here next week with the new build, he'll be having pictures of everything going up on his Instagram for the Garden of Freedom. So check that out, follow it, and keep up with everything that's going on.
I'm so behind on posting pictures. I've got so many good, and now the snow is almost all gone. It's like down to just a few little patches, but I've got like epic winter pictures going up soon. Anyway, top super chat, best call, win membership in the Producers Club today, or buy it at patreon.com/Adam versus the Man for $10 a month. Getting into our good news, the cutting edge of human optimization. We kick off this block today with story from Bloomberg via MSN.com. Elon Musk says he wired up a monkey's brain to play video games. Elon Musk says one of his startups has a monkey with wires going into its brain that's able to play video games. He's a happy monkey, said Musk. That's my Musk voice. You guys like that? The optimistic. That's a terrible. No. Said Musk, the chief executive officer of electric vehicle maker Tesla Inc. and backer of numerous other futuristic projects, including Neuralink Corp, a startup focused on developing a brain-computer interface. He said videos of the plugged-in simians would be released soon, perhaps in around a month. Musk was speaking on Clubhouse, a private social app where users host off-the-cuff informal conversations. Although Clubhouse seems like nothing more than an app to hop onto various conference calls, it has become a popular platform for estimated 5 billion. Anyway, so this is pretty exciting, and this is like they're leaking this, to several thousand listeners in a Clubhouse chat room. He just said we have a monkey with a wireless implant in their skull with tiny wires who can play video games with his mind. It's almost like it's got tiny wires. Yeah. You can't see where the implant is, and he's a happy monkey. We have the nicest monkey facilities in the world. We want them to play mind pong with each other. Musk explained that the goal with the brain linking technology is addressing brain and spinal injuries and making up people's lost capacity with an implanted chip. As he said, quote, there are primitive versions of this device with wires sticking out of your head, but it's like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires that go into your brain. And this is really exciting. I mean, cutting edge stuff that is, you talk about human optimization. And yeah, I don't want to just sort of blanket endorse Elon Musk or the process or, animal testing, what conditions. But I mean, the fact that he's saying, yes, we're doing this in a compassionate way, at least shows that there's an intent to make it look that way. And that's great. So, and I'm not, entirely against animal testing under any circumstances, even though I'm a, consumer choice vegan. I'm not so some any kind of ridiculous idealist or absolutist. So the next article here kind of gets more to the practical implementation of this, and like right away, which is pretty amazing that we're seeing it this soon. dailystar.co.uk. High-tech brain implants the size of a salt grain could let people choose their own mood. Hey, you want to be happy? Yeah. Hey, you want to be really focused? Hey, you want to be really relaxed? Like, boom, click, and it's done. Well, it's like you think, and you can re-engineer your brain. And in a way, we've always had this capability. Um, yeah, Greg says maybe we could wire up Biden. Didn't you see when in the debates he's already got a chip in his brain, obviously. No, yeah, well, I don't think it's going to come to that. Thanks for getting this picture on screen. This is crazy. Scientists in South Korea have suppressed cocaine-induced behavior in rats, injected with the drug using the chips, even working out how to charge them remotely. Wow. I don't know, but it'd be funny if it was like a centrifuge kind of like charging device in the plant, and you just hooked the put a magnet next to their head and spun it, and oh, now you got a little whizzing thing in your head. No, I don't think it's gonna be that crude. But what this makes possible, when you think about this now, there's sort of there are two converging technologies here. Well, three really. Well, shoot, more than that in terms of the next phase of human optimization. And well, geez, no, there's another, so many levels. But we've always had the power to dictate our moods in a sense, right? Like, barring the interference of brain chemistry, right? But without that, we can meditate, we can with free will, we can choose our mood. But what we're talking about here is the next level of technological innovation, putting that in your brain, and it's your brain now. Like, it's a chip controlled by your brain that re-engineers your brain. Now, yeah, a lot of potential to go wrong there, right? But here's the next one: is that you're managing your body chemistry. Eventually, we're going to have molecular 3D printers that are going to fit on your fingertip, but more importantly, are going to fit on a little patch that you might wear on your skin that's controlled by the chip in your brain that creates whatever pharmaceuticals and automatically injects them, or by absorption puts them into your body. These things are not out there. The only thing missing here is the Star Trek suit, so we can all look the same, right? At some point, we all just decided, yeah, from now on, we're all going to wear the same color, except for ranks. Higher ranks get different colors. Yeah, something like that. So where does this go? Where are they with this in Korea? Korean scientists have developed a brain implant with LEDs the size of a grain of salt, which can control our moods via a smartphone. All right, I got a sidebar on this because it's like one more thing. With the technology, it's a double-edged sword, and by that I mean one edge is that it cuts towards authority. It empowers authority to spy on us, to control us, to manipulate us, to control our data, so on and so forth. But it also empowers the people. And it empowers the people in such a way that governments are essentially obsolete. And I talk about this with war, that in the globally connected world we live in, the old school, force on force war, it's just not possible anymore. And there is a fear, there's a legitimate fear that I have, I suppose, with this, that we're going to be getting chips in our brains. We're going to be rushing to get these chips into our brains because, and I'm not saying like now, we're 5-10 years, something like that. And that's going to lead us to the rush to get into it before there's a proper system of accountability, because we've already accepted it with smartphones, right? That essentially, and this, that you cannot have just a regular cell phone on a mainstream cell network that the government doesn't have a backdoor to, or that you can know for sure the government doesn't have a backdoor to, because they can, and they could, and they would, and they have. And you go, well, they might not be on my phone, but I can't rule that out. So, do you really want to connect? I mean, do you want to connect that phone to your brain? I mean, it's already a little bit scary, and I would say, well, let's. Anytime I look forward in a trend like this, I go, what's a current proxy? What are the trends that might lead up to determining whether this trend I'm predicting or seeing as a possibility is going to hold true. And you look at we rush into smartphones while we still had a government with an NSA? Yeah, we did, because the technology was that tempting. I think with brain implants and perhaps pharmaceutical dispensing patches, things like that. And by the way, you don't need molecular 3D printing to make the dispensing patch work. There, but cartridges or whatever. There's all sorts of different ways to do that and to monitor your health through such a device. I mean, imagine if you had a just a little 1-inch round patch that you could slap on your body. It was a smart patch, and all it did was monitor your body, and it sent that information to your smartphone, but it would have incredible health and safety for health type reason benefits, as in if you were having a heart attack, it would detect that, even if no one was around, and it would send an alert to your phone. It would call 911 for you. It would send a helicopter or an ambulance to wherever you are, and possibly save your life. It might detect the development of chronic diseases before they become problematic or when they can be easily addressed. Things like that are maybe things I'm not even imagining right now that would be truly life changing, but then essentially your cell phone provider, unless the government would have access to all of that information. Still a net positive. I don't want to die, right? So my fear here is that we get certain technologies before we put government in its place, or at least make it safe in this regard. And I think we will eventually. And I think one way or another, it's almost like a chicken and egg thing, because these technologies are so empowering. They really do render government obsolete. Can you control a population that is basically immune to fear because we can just flip a switch or push a button on our smartphones and be happy? No. So the Bluetooth-enabled nanochips, back to Korea, use light to emit messages to the brain's neurons, and scientists believe it could eventually be used in the treatment of Parkinson's disease and depression. KIST Boffins said they demonstrated how it can manipulate the brain in an experiment with rats injected with cocaine. The implant successfully suppressed cocaine-induced behaviors. So this is very rudimentary, very simple, but when you hear about this kind of technology this well developed right now, you can kind of see it's really only a matter of time before we get to more immediate practical applications. And I am excited to see that there's sort of priority for medical applications where you're actually dealing with people who have neurological disorders. All right, just something a little bit more fun. Studyfinds.org is this headline: sperm switch would allow men to turn their fertility on and off. Yeah, we're there. We haven't cured cancer, but we got boner pills. The biological race between sperm to reach an egg is a fierce and competitive process. Now, researchers in Germany say they have discovered which protein gives sperm the winning edge. Their study finds a molecular switch in sperm could also allow men to turn their fertility on and off. Experiments on mice find the winner. Gary, I mean, this is just, I almost don't want to get into this, but we'll see if it ever becomes practical. It might make things a little bit more fun. Now, I hate to bring COVID into this. Excuse me, Karina, the virus which shall not be named. But this is sort of a human innovation thing, and I hope I'm not sneaking this in. It's not like cutting edge in terms of technology in human optimization, but in terms of application of knowledge, learning to be skeptical and learning from history, particularly when it comes to government atrocities. Did you think I wasn't going to mention that part? No, USA Today has this headline: swarms of mosquitoes, how a secret military experiment left black Georgians wary of COVID-19 vaccines. And this is something white Americans can't really appreciate. And there's a weird intersection here with COVID where they're saying, oh, minorities are harder hit. And in some ways, it's going to be true because they're in jobs that are, involve more interaction, more exposure, and or lower priority, and get cut more and are more hurt by the forced unemployment crisis that started early last year following Trump's national declaration of a state of emergency. So but the Native Americans too. There's the story that I've got pulled up about the history of the U.S. federal government sterilizing Native American women. I mean, it it's almost an insult to the totality of the tragedy that Native Americans have experienced to try to sum it up with a few high points. But similarly, Black Americans, and one of the high points, one of the ones that rings true, iconic for people, is the Tuskegee experiments, where Black men were allowed to or were continue with syphilis untreated and allowed to progress, and when they could have gotten treatment in order for government doctors to study the symptoms. And there have been a huge history. There is a huge history of horrific experiments being done on the American people. And surprise, surprise, the protected race of the protected class of the protected citizens of the empire, we, the privileged white folk of America, are rarely subject to the same shit that minorities are, just to put it bluntly. And so this is a cool story. And if you want the whole backstory, again, link to all of this in the show notes. But the story starts with Black Americans are more hesitant than white Americans to take the COVID-19 vaccine. The reasons for that hit close to home in Savannah, Georgia, where a classified military operation in the 1950s dropped hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes that many believe were infected with disease, on Carver Village. And they are painting this rosy picture of everybody believing the mainstream story and going along with it and not even being skeptical. And the reality is that most people are either being pressured, bullied, or just going along to get along, to not make waves. And there are a lot of people. And instead of that story, one of the gentlemen quoted there was said, I'm gonna wait a year. Before I get the vaccine, I'm just gonna wait a year. I don't think they're going to be able to force it on people, and they're not going to be able to impose travel restrictions and like you can't go shopping without your vaccine card or something for quite a while. So we'll see how this shakes out. But that kind of stuff, it makes me optimistic, and I include it in the cutting edge of human optimization because this is people learning from history and learning to be appropriately distrustful. All right, we got another addition to our pile today in the Producers Club. I think we're going to come back. Geez, I don't know what category this goes in. Let me finish human optimization, then we'll do that one, Peter. But that looks like a cool story. All right, so goodnewsnetwork.org. New prostate cancer test makes diagnosis from urine in 20 minutes with near 100% accuracy, researchers say. Yeah, no more check the prostate. Korean medical scientists have employed AI learning to create new prostate cancer screening with almost 100% accuracy. The breakthrough, which is a simple urine strip, is likely to revolutionize testing, as existing methods are not only accurate but can result in overdiagnosis and necessitate invasive biopsies. So, yeah, cool innovation. One less thing I got to worry about getting old. All right, so this story from the Producers Club, this looks pretty cool. And this is coming from apple.news. Loading right now. Archaeologists in Egypt uncover 2,000-year-old mummy with gold tongue. Yeah. Okay. Refreshing here, making sure that this loads. So wait, did you have it from Fox? Did we get it from a different link? Is that why you have that one, CJ? CJ, you want to put your mic on and read some of that?
Yeah, I got it from Fox. That's where the article comes out of. It's an Apple News where he got it from, linked to a Fox News article.
Yeah, okay. Go for it. Oh, no, I see it, but you want to read some while mine is loading very... Oh, wait, here we go. All right. Ancient Egyptians would have given mummy gold tongue to help him speak to the god Osiris. Yeah, 2,000-year-old gold-tongued mummy has been uncovered amid a dig in northern Egypt, according to reports. The mummy was among 16 burials uncovered in poorly preserved rock-cut tombs at the temple of Taposiris Magna, west of Alexandria, and is an example of burial practices during the country's Greco-Roman period. The ancient Egyptians would have given the mummy a gold tongue during a ritual to help him speak to Osiris, the god of the underworld in the afterlife. Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities said a statement. Wow. So there is one sort of like cutting edge future tech about this story that is actually not really related to this story. And it says they were digging. Let's see, does it say how they got in here? I don't. It just says dig. And that, excuse me, that's great. I don't mean to. Well, we're actually in this interesting period of archaeology and technology where there is, I don't know if it's the majority, maybe by mass or certainly by number, but of incredible discoveries of human history. They are still out there to be discovered. And we are living in this time when you can go out and or you can go out and dig. And so I'm looking at the next story about houses. You can go out and dig and find something that is truly incredible. That has never been seen before. That is lost to current knowledge, human knowledge. But I think about metal detectors, right? So you can just walk around with a metal detector and pop up metal. And so much of the Earth's surface, even though we've had this technology, hasn't been scanned. But what if we had armies of drones flying over all over the planet with metal detectors marking spots with location tags, and then going back with robot excavator drones and being able to, and basically all of a sudden every point on Earth where there's metal within 6 feet has now been discovered and dug up, and like that, relatively speaking, compared to human history and the history of our current archaeology known to man. But what? Yeah, you go, okay, Adam, that's metals, that's great. That is, ooh, but what about that sonar shit? What about that next level of whatever it is that they're able to see through dirt with and be able to identify exactly what this is? Maybe there's going to be a trend of just like taking digital pictures and leaving stuff in place undisturbed. Who knows? I don't know. Let me know, where do you think that's going? Before we get to tech innovation, let's get Jim back up on stage for a minute and check in with the audience. Unless we have any callers, normally I get a note. I'm looking in the producers club, no caller notifications or from CJ.
That was weird. Right when you said, unless we have a caller, my phone that I'm recording this on rang, and it was a spam call. So I hung up on him. Obviously, let's give some shout outs to our buddies in the chat. Adam, can we get a shout out at Liberty Warrior? Not a Trumpkin and I are blowing up your chat. LOL. They're talking about, well, Liberty Warrior is wondering if it's a pre-recording, so he should know right now by us interacting with him live that it's not a pre-recording. They were talking about, Anders was suggesting it'd be cool to see you on Louder with Crowder sometime, or We Are Change, some great debates wherever you go. And then Not a Trumpkin says, Anders, he talked to Crowder a few years ago. Crowder was pissed. Adam got him in a corner. Anders said, I know, I watched it. He's been subbed to us, so.
Well, I mean, I'd love
to
to
be very welcoming.
Crowder, in a formal debate setting or in a control, in an online, moderated online debate. And I hate to say this because I do believe it would be sort of a hostile conversation, and he is an aggressive communicator. I would want a moderator for that debate, but I would love to debate Steven Crowder. And I don't know where Luke is politically now. Luke was my co-host when we did Adam versus the Man as a TV show back in 2011 in DC, and we had him take the political. There's I used to be a fan of Steven Crowder, me interviewing him at CPAC, and him poorly defending an anti-cannabis position.
Those are such great videos, you at those places, devouring, giving him the Socratic method, and just most people, some people took it bad, but most people, you really changed a lot of people's worldviews with your on the street interviews, man. You woke a lot of people up through direct one-on-one, looking them in the eyes and explaining shit. I could see it. That's one thing I loved most about your on the street videos or your at the convention videos like that one, stuff like that.
See
They're my
that's
favorite.
the real reason they did this whole COVID thing was I was getting back into man on the street videos and they didn't want that happen.
This whole entire thing was to shut you down off the
Yeah.
streets.
Well, no, I mean I could get out and do some now, although like right now I really don't have time to get away from Gardenia, but it'd be interesting. I mean, what's Vegas like on the streets? You know, are people, even if people are approachable, do I have to wear a mask to start the conversation? Do I, and you know, maybe that would be the theme of the man on the streets themselves is like, you know, what do you think of them? Like just to have the mask on to approach people and whether they're wearing the mask or not. And the first thing, do you mind if I take this off? Or would you like me to keep it on for our conversation?
Right.
You know, and then ask them why one way or another. That could be the whole series.
That
Shit.
could definitely be a starter that could go anywhere with each person, you know.
Just so
Yeah.
you guys know, this is what Vegas streets look like live right now. Live view from Vegas here. I don't see many people to be interviewing. Do you?
Yeah, well, no, it is a Friday.
I see
and
3
it's-
people right there. I see a bus.
It's definitely not too early for foot traffic and day drinkers getting started.
You flag
in
those cars
Vegas
down. No.
10:30 in the morning. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but there are different times, right? Yeah, there's different times.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
Yeah,
what time
so-
it is.
So one of the restrictions might just be that it's that much more challenging, and I have to go out, you know, like weekend late afternoons, and that's the only time there are enough people on the street to make it worthwhile. Because I've had sessions where I've gone out, and I'm pretty good at avoiding this. And that's why I like to stick to regular spots like the Strip in Vegas. I have a few, you know, I have a bunch of different like areas I can walk up and down the Strip in Vegas or Fremont Street, and I know where I'm going, and there's a great stream of traffic and different backgrounds. 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica is the other place I like, and then Santa Monica Pier. They're like 2 areas, and walking, and then the Santa Monica Beach around the pier. There's usually enough foot traffic right around there. But I mean, California, no. Vegas, it looks like. Well, so I was in Vegas with my wife. Remember, passing through after Thanksgiving. I mean, that's 2 months ago. And it was like, you know, 15% capacity maybe where we were, or just felt that way for foot traffic. It's not, you know, it's maybe we'll try. I don't know. Next weekend, Jim, you want to go on a road trip to Vegas?
Don't tempt me. That'd be
It's
fun.
Valentine's Day weekend. Who knows? All right.
I know. I was just looking up if First Friday was still a thing. I know pre-COVID, you could have went on Roosevelt Street down here in downtown Phoenix on every first Friday of every month. It was, I used to do scooters down there, you know what I mean? And it was insane, like thousands of people every time. Well, I mean, it was crazy. Vendors outside.
I've done a couple man on the street sessions outside one of the universities. Man, I can't even remember which one, where there's a good intersection in Phoenix, but they're few and far between there. Anyway, let's get to. Oh, we have a caller. All right, hey, Stephen again is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen McClure. How you doing, brother?
Good, how y'all?
Excellent. It's a fun Friday.
It is. I wanted to just pop in and say something real quick. Shane Hazel, if you wanted to do some collabs or some debates, I would really like to see you on Shane Hazel's show. For those of you who don't know who Shane Hazel is, Shane Hazel is the reason that we had 2 runoffs in Georgia this year with our Republican and Democrats. He took like 5% of the vote. So neither candidate was able to get 51. So they had to kick him out so that they could win. So Shane lost, unfortunately. And maybe a couple of hours, maybe 2 or 3 days, he announced his candidacy for governor of Georgia. He had a show called The Rebellion with another individual. He now has a show that appears 3 times a week called The Radical. They have a Patreon. They have a YouTube. I really like his show. He's a member of Georgia LP, so you got to love him. I think you should be on a show with him. I think that y'all do some good stuff. You've been on one of his shows before. I think you should bring him onto your show.
Well, you know what's funny, Steven, about that? I was on a show as a presidential candidate, and then, oh man, I feel like an asshole. We did a show together where we just got co-interviewed as veterans. It was a really fun conversation.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Shane and I, like, I mean, I don't know what the next collaboration is, but we're text buddies. You know, I love his message. I love his attitude. I got to meet him at the Georgia State Convention.
Yep.
Year before last, actually, I think for the first time. And I appreciate you telling me that story, because we haven't had it told on the air, the significance of the Libertarian candidate Shane Hazel's race for U.S. Senate in Georgia. That's pretty cool. So thank you for summing that up so well.
When you gotta kick a guy out of your race so that you can win your race, I mean, you're pretty weak. Also, and this goes back to principle, right? You know, we've talked about this in the past. Shane didn't spend any money. Like, the way that Shane got money for his campaign was selling T-shirts and Patreon. Somebody did the math, and Shane, like, if you look at how much money he spent and how many votes he got, if he had half the budget that the other guys would have had, he would have gotten all the votes. Just the math. Which I find incredible. He got 5% of the vote with, I think, 1/1000th of the money or something like that. They were spending millions and millions of dollars, especially in the runoff. I live in Georgia, and I was getting Democrat and Republican ballot pamphlets daily from November-ish all the way to January. And Shane just didn't have that capability financially, and he still whooped their ass. Like, he still said, hey, we're here, we're fed up with your garbage, and I'm going to do something about it. And the fact that Brian Kemp is hated statewide, and the person that they're talking about bringing back for the Democrat nominee lost 2 years ago. They're thinking about rerunning Stacey Abrams, which I think is an incredible idea, because do you want the loser from last time, or the person that fucked over Georgia for the last year and a half, or the last year? Or do you want Shane Hazel, a guy that's not really interested in your money, who just wants you to live life and he wants to get left the fuck alone?
If only everybody understood that the question was really that simple. By the way, Craig weighs in the Producers Club to point out the show you were both on was called Why Libertarian.
Okay.
Do you have anybody else who will look that up? It was fun. You got any plans for this weekend?
Say what?
You got any exciting plans for this weekend?
So my fiance, one of the guns that fell over the last time I was on, we're taking her to go sight that in.
Wait, your fiance is a gun?
My fiance is a gun. I identify as an attack helicopter.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're taking her to shoot a gun for the first time, and we're gonna sight in an AR for her.
Yeah, that's, by the way, that's Matt Struck with Why Libertarian on screen there. Thank you for getting that up so quickly, CJ. Even the way you framed that question, Matt, suggests that, you know, that's how we beat the system, is by the document which gives the system its foundation of power. Yeah, we got into the Constitution a little bit. All right, Stephen, you ready to get some cutting edge and good news in tech development? We had cool stuff today. I don't know if do you have any like pet tech things you're enthusiastic about?
So Robinhood got told to back the fuck off and let people do as they please, or they're going to leave Robinhood. And this morning, Google News informed me that Robinhood has lifted all restrictions. I don't claim this. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's good news. I suppose that, I mean, we're following that. We're going to come back to that on Monday. It is definitely a saga worth getting into. I really like to interview someone who's pushing it, who's a proponent of it, because I have some like major skeptical questions. You know, like, aren't you essentially making somebody else rich by trading into this game that is, I mean, you're exposing it, But it's a real, like, what if you took all that money and just bought ads, or talked about ending the Fed?
So my
So
three
hold on,
big,
Anders in a comment here writes,
Yep.
already left Robinhood for Webull. Anders, if you could give us a follow up on that, why exactly? Sorry, go ahead, Steven.
so my three big issues within Liberty are guns, religion, and then just disconnecting from the system, right? So I live in my apartment, cash under the table. I work under the table. I do everything without the use of a social security number or driver's license as much as possible. So I don't really get into all the other stuff because I just don't have the time. But when I see people say, look, you're interfering with our lives in a negative manner, we're not okay with it, we're going to need you to back the fuck up. To the extent that so many people get involved that the person or the entity or the government says it's probably hazardous for us to continue down this path. We need to back up before we get checked. And I'm not advocating violence, but what I am advocating is standing up for yourself. And when people stand up for themselves in mass and protest to the point that you have to listen to them and you have to do the right thing, I find it beautiful. So I don't trade on the stock market, but damn it, when people throw their authority around and say you can't fuck with us because you just can't, we're unfuckable, we're ugly with acne. It's great. It's beautiful, and that's what I love. I love to see.
No, there's definitely some huge positives in this story, and that's why I'm excited to cover it. And some really creative activism, whether it's the best or strategically advisable. It's a big play. They got a lot of people putting a lot of money behind these just activist investment surges, and that's going to be really cool to follow. So we'll be coming back to that on Monday for sure. If you're in the Producers Club, send me your favorite articles on that and your analyses, and maybe we'll get Marcus to book us a guest from someone who's involved in that, or at least a prominent, credible public advocate of what they're doing. Thanks for the call, Stephen.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
All right, let's see if do we have a follow-up comment from Anders there while I hit this bong in anticipation of our next exciting tech block. Empty man right here. Walmart gets a lot of foot traffic. Yeah, that would be, not a Trump getting at Empty man. Walmart locations would be great interviews if they'll let you. That'd be an interesting experiment, because I don't know, I wouldn't push it for a number of reasons. But if you were interviewing people like on the sidewalk in front of Walmart, it's still Walmart property. And I'm pretty sure they would just ask you to leave. You're harassing customers. You're interfering with normal commerce, making their customers look bad or making Walmart look bad. There's no incentive for them to let you use that property. It would be cool, but I am like 95% certain that before you would even get one good interview, because remember, you got to stand there. You want an interview, you want an interview. Before we got one interview in, security would be there asking us to leave, and I would not really have journalistic grounds, in free speech, yes, but like, no, there's a news story, you have to let me in to cover this. Like, nah, no. And then they would call the police if I refused to leave, and I would get an arrest for trespassing, and I don't think that's helpful. Anyway, all right. Well, while we're waiting for Andrew there to talk about going from Robinhood to Webull, we go back to goodnewsnetwork.org. A gorgeous. Oh wait, hey, there it is, Anders. I saw a bunch of people that had their shares of GME, that's GameStop, auto sold for a loss by Robinhood under the guise of protecting investors. Yeah, I guess that's just an unforgivable breach of trust, even with a sort of institutional trading platform like Robinhood, and there have been some around this. Robinhood said it wasn't a liquidity issue, then went on a couple different YouTube channels saying it was a liquidity issue. Yeah, and that reflects dishonest management ownership, perhaps. And yeah, don't fuck with them. Yeah, this is like I said from the beginning. Like, you're gonna stick it to the man by giving the man your money and hoping that he gives you more back. They might let some of you get away with that to keep the illusion going, but that's not how this casino works. All right, goodnewsnetwork.org. A gorgeous 3D printed home just popped up on Zillow for half the price of comparable houses. A stunning 3D printed home is currently available for sale on Zillow at 34 Millbrook Lane, Riverhead, New York. At $300,000, it costs 50% less than comparably sized houses in the area, and the manufacturer, SQ4D, hopes to use it as a jumping off point to tackle housing shortages in the city and surrounding towns. Well, $300,000 for a living space? Yeah, that's not really how you tackle housing shortages. And by the way, we don't have housing shortages so much as we have problems with the banking and home financing system, where we have more empty homes than homeless people in America. But there's still a serious, legitimate demand for new homes, and the more efficient, effective, eco-friendly they can get, the better. One of the things that's really exciting about this, when we talked about this, I was very grateful to be on. Don't get it. I was very grateful to have the opportunity to be on the voluntary option with Peter Yapel on Wednesday evening. And we talked about how easy it is to get off grid with a comfortable living space. And we were talking about the houses that him and I are building that are 16 by 40 foot prefab sheds that we're building onto. In my case, I'm putting a 10-foot wide deck on one side and a 12-foot wide carport on the other, the full 40-foot length. So it's going to be, a significantly sized house, but it's all wood frame construction. Of course, we're going to do, insulation, drywall, solar panels, rain collection, et cetera. So it'll be, it won't be thermal mass. It'll have a wood burning stove, but it'll be, I guess considering the wood burning stove, okay, now that I'm going to have a 3D printer, can I print a home? You're probably going to need a bigger one than that, let's just say. But so these houses that we're having, the Peter already had his delivered, and the Peter and Helen Yapel, and ours is coming on Thursday, as I mentioned. They're about $15,000 each, plus a little bit for the customization with doors and windows and stuff like that we got on ours. And with another 10,000, I was, maybe 10,000 invested, bringing the total to 25,000. We get fully functional off-grid cabins that are, the equivalent of a prefab double wide trailer that might cost in the range of, $60,000 ish, and that you can do that with just today's technology, and boom, 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 whole house frame delivered for cheaper than it costs to do it yourself. That's pretty amazing. And we are really on the verge of being able to create a home that's a functional living unit and be able to drone carry it or helicopter it anywhere on Earth, and pour a foundation or a footing, and have a house, and be able to do it for very inexpensively. In a sense, I've spent 5 years here living on this property and haven't built a proper house yet. It's kind of silly, right? But if I just wanted to, $13,000 for this 11 acres, and when we first got out, we lived in an RV trailer, 2 of us and a 100-pound dog in a 19-foot travel trailer, and it was awesome. And we had a shower and a full bathroom and a fully functional kitchen, and that trailer cost $4,000. Now it's RVs living in full time, they get kind of high maintenance. But anyway, back to this story. This is like one of the reasons, aside from being a personal fan of alternative construction and off-grid living, I'm excited about stories like this as a libertarian and as a amateur futurist, because these kinds of developments, it's not that, they're going to make a $300,000 version for New York. No, it's that they're going to be able to create this home in an extremely efficient way that's going to be very cheap, and they're going to have like a helicopter or a drone that can just pick it up and deliver and drop it off anywhere in the world. That's what we're coming to. So Using its autonomous robotic construction technology, the 3D printed home will be erected on the spot so that it features approximately 1,500 square feet of living space with a detached two-car garage, all on a quarter-acre with a garden. Now, by the way, I suggested 3D printing into manufacturing. This one is built on site, and we've seen there's videos of this where they bring out the printer and just do it like that. That's cool too. And that actually offers a lot. You bring in the machine and the materials as opposed to build a house and bring in the whole house, whichever is more efficient, right? Is what we'll figure out here. Inside the structure, the open floor plan includes 3 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms. The 3D printed material is actually made of concrete and therefore has much better energy efficiency and durability. SQ40 also offers a 50-year limited warranty on the house. Yeah. So there are a number, as the article says, there are a number of construction firms armed with humongous 3D printers looking to direct the revolutionary technology towards the inefficiencies and high costs of the housing industry. This one requires merely 3 laborers on site to oversee the job and can print a concrete building without a roof in 1/3 of the time frame required for such work. This is pretty exciting. Now, to robotics for a pretty abrupt change of pace, but something that might make all other technological innovations irrelevant. If you have a robot servant butler with AI in it that can do everything that you can direct it to do, but also with superhuman strength and perfect memory, even if not perfect creativity and autonomous decision-making skills, who cares how long it takes to build a house? Buy an extra robot and, have someone else do it, right? So Reuters has this: makers of Sophia the robot plan mass rollout amid pandemic. Now, so this is the other thing we've talked about. We had a couple stories in this past week already about, Walmart going to all self-checkout in one store and robotic warehouses with Walmart and Amazon. There is a new demand, and this is not a good reason, but it is with COVID. But it's a good outcome that there's it's not. We shouldn't be pushing for robots because they're going to make the world sterile for us. And that's if we get to that leap eventually, and we will. Maybe we upload our consciousnesses or our brains into computers. We take the brain out of them, put it in a robot. Who knows, right? There are a lot of different ways this whole thing could go. So with the this development now, we are really on the verge of another exciting leap forward for the human experience. Social robots like me can take care of the sick or elderly, Sophia says as she conducts a tour of her lab in Hong Kong. I can help communicate, give therapy, and provide social stimulation even in difficult situations. It's been unveiled in 2016. Sophia, a humanoid robot, has gone viral. Now the company behind her has a new vision to mass produce robots by the end of the year. Hanson Robotics, based in Hong Kong, said 4 models, including Sophia, would start rolling out of factories in the first half of 2021, just as researchers predict the pandemic will open new opportunities for the robotics industry. Yeah, so the COVID motivation is to keep things sterile, but if this is leading people to divert resources from stupid shit to rush the development of robots by creating a surge in market demand, I'm all for it. It's pretty exciting to think that this is on the horizon, like servant robots of some kind being a common thing, or at least markets that they might not get to that full capability of being able to self-direct physically even. Although you look at what was it, Boston Technologies or Boston Robotics, what they've been able to do with the dogs that can walk and run and be knocked over and get back up. What they're already capable of with robotics of a machine controlling or a computer controlling the machine is pretty intense, pretty amazing, pretty darn intricate. So to just attach that, put it in humanoid form, attach that to a computer that can hear you and follow directions and at least think in that sense. You thought smartphones were revolutionary. Now you don't even need a smartphone. Hey, robot, call mom. And their face goes blank and mom's face pops up on the screen. That stuff was far-fetched a few decades ago. And now even the far-fetched concept of the internet and the cell phone technology that we enjoy is mind-blowing from the perspective of just 20 years ago. And remember, this process is accelerating. Another exciting technology on the horizon, phys.org, that's PHYS, not bot, not beast. Scientists create first ever living programmable organism. Yeah. Say that again. Living programmable organism. A remarkable combination of AI, artificial intelligence, and biology has produced the world's first living robots. Yeah. Are they still robots? This week, a research team of roboticists and scientists published their recipe for making a new life form called xenobots from stem cells. The term xeno comes from the frog cells used to make them. One of the researchers described the creation as neither a traditional robot nor a known species of animal, but a new class of artifact, a living programmable organism. Xenobots, excuse me, are less than 1 millimeter long and made of 500 to 1,000 living cells. They have various simple shapes, including some with squat legs. They can propel themselves in linear or circular directions, join together to act collectively and move small objects using their own cellular energy. They can live up to 10 days. I mean, wow. It's almost futile to just, well, I don't want to say futile, but to consider all of the possible applications. There's a section in the story called possible applications, so let's just read that. Xenobots may have great value. Some speculate they could be used to clean our polluted oceans by collecting microplastics. Similarly, they may be used to enter confined or dangerous areas to scavenge toxins or radioactive materials. And by the way, this is something that that I predicted years ago. Not that I was the only one, I guess. I can't even say that I predicted it then. When this is kind of an obvious thing that yeah, the environment needs to be protected. It's worth protecting, but it's also sort of and not polluting it any more than we've already screwed it up. Absolutely worthwhile endeavor. But is it worth stressing about as if we're going to just destroy the planet? No, we are going to engineer our way out of this. I'm more concerned with an asteroid hitting Earth and killing all of us with an extinction level event. I watched Greenland that would radically that would shut everything down, rather than we pollute, like you can track this, right? We pollute the oceans a certain amount and sea life dies, CO2 goes up, and yeah, and by the way, we are coming to a global warming story later today, but yeah, that's all a possibility. But eventually, if it's micro programmed living organisms, then yeah. Okay, xenobots designed with carefully shaped pouches might be able to carry drugs into human bodies. Future versions may be built from a patient's own cells to repair tissue or target cancers. Being biodegradable, xenobots would have an edge on technologies made of plastic or metal. What if they make? I mean, maybe I'm going a little further with this. That you could eventually have your brain cells replaced by something like this, or use this to reprogram your brain. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break from this tech block because it's our big one today to take another caller. Who do we have on the line here? Let's see. Mike G. Welcome back to the show, Mike. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, Adam?
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm a product of the 60s and 70s. I want a Gigantor.
Okay, for those who are not, what is a Gigantor?
If CJ could look it up, Gigantor was a robot. It's actually was from originated in Japan, and Gigantor was a robot that a young man named Johnny used to control, and he used to just defend everything. He was like the good robot, and there he is. That's Gigantor. That's that is so cool. I want one. Where's Johnny?
Well, so yeah, I mean, it's not unrealistic with the current technology to say that you could build a giant robot that you could even fly around it and be safe in. You know, not even skip the Iron Man suit, just have a giant thing that you can control from inside. Uh, Things are scaling up exponentially, and it's like you could upload your brain into that. You take your brain out of your body and put it in a machine that you could design to be anything you want.
Does anybody understand? I live on Long Island, New York, and we have these supermarkets called Stop and Shop, and they have these robots in there now roaming the store, and the thing's got eyeballs on it, and every time it comes up to me, I tell it to go F itself. And I'm wondering, what the hell is it doing? What is it doing? What is it monitoring? You know what I mean? It's apparently it just alerts the staff to spills on the floor and this and that and the other thing. But I think it's much more than that.
So, hey, Mike, have you ever seen the show Person of Interest?
Oh yeah.
So Marty the robot is designed.
There he is.
Oh wow!
Come around the store and monitor the floor conditions to see if there's any hazards on the floor, like a wet spill or a piece of paper that a customer or an employee can possibly trip on and get hurt. So Marty is just a safety mechanism for us to help monitor our floors 12 times a day throughout the day, to make sure when a customer comes to Stop and Shop, they have the most safe shopping experience possible. When it walks the store, it's monitoring only the floors. It's looking for any spills, and if there is a spill, it will announce over the PA system for an employee to come and clean up the spill. Marty does not clean it, but it will stand there and it will warn customers that are walking by. The customers definitely reacted to Marty. We found that Marty. They even asked their parents when they can come back and see Marty. The googly eyes on Marty really makes it kid friendly. As normal with technology, they're a lot more receptive to new technology and new devices in our building.
Marty is a gazer. He's a gazer.
Well, you know what? It's silly. I would be less inclined to shop at a store with one of those unless it was cleaning up the mess itself. It's not even as good as a fucking Roomba. All right, not a Trumpkin ways, and I know they just get a Roomba. Yeah, sounds much more effective. All right, but Mike, there's another story we got coming up here today from Wired. You might want to hear.
What's that?
There's spying eyes everywhere, and now they share a brain. And right away, I thought of Person of Interest, right? And Person of Interest is a fictional TV show that Jim got me turned on to, where there's a guy who basically created the one AI brain that all surveillance, everything on connected to any kind of internet, anything are connected to, and it does analysis and can track. And so this is where we are. The subtitle, on the story is security cameras, license plate readers, smartphone trackers, drones. We're being watched 24/7. What happens when all those data streams fuse into one? Mike?
Yeah, dangerous territory. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just old school, See the beard? I'm really afraid. I'm going through a midlife crisis. I'm afraid I'm becoming a curmudgeon. And I don't know. I don't get it. And
I just turned 39, so my midlife crisis is still like another 40 years away. Because
I'm 58. I'm 58, and
so Mike, about this, you said it's dangerous. Is it the technology or the world we live in which it's being employed with government, or I assume it's both to one degree or another? But how do you compare those two?
Well, you lose your right to privacy no matter where you go. And
do you have a right to privacy outside your home? Yeah, I mean, aside from like your person, your bodily integrity, your papers and your effects.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? But I don't know if it makes us safer. You know what I mean? I know it could be used for nefarious reasons. I know that they could just pick on somebody and follow them if they suspect, that there's an issue with this person. They're already doing it. We already have this technology. They're using it already. They're tracking people. Look at what they did in the Capitol. They tracked all those people back home. Using the internet, using video cameras. No doubt in my mind that they were.
All right. So Mike, this gets to the question we talked about before with technology and law enforcement, right? And wanting people to be able to be handled better rather than killed unnecessarily, right? So let me ask you a question: if you lived in a community, like say you lived in a big city, like a big city area that was a private city, essentially managed and owned by the residents, and there were security cameras, right? And if you wanted to, you could sign a contract where if the public security cameras outside your home detect that you have been poisoned or you have been slipped PCP and are acting erratically, would you want them to be able to shoot you with a disabling dart or have armed security guards come in and try to secure you? You see, there's a potential there for good application. There are a lot of problems with that when it's government.
What's in the dart?
Yeah, right. Well, you would get to choose. You sign up. It's voluntary.
This is in case I lose my mind?
Right. Would you want that? Like, would you want your home? Like, say you had a smart home security system, right? Like you have, like, say you have a cameras all cover the entire inside of your house and the outside of your house, that whole property, to the point that they can detect a threat and direct a machine gun and take out that threat for you and be so reliable that you trust that system to do that if it was applying deadly force. So would you also trust it to say if you were behaving violently or erratically in your home that it would disable you and call 911 or something to that effect? Hopefully private services.
I don't know. That's a really I don't think I would like that. I wouldn't opt into it at all. I don't think I would like that. I'm a pretty safe guy. You don't think you'd have to worry about me. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't. I have cigars. I like cigars, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. I haven't had a drink since. My last beer was at the Bordy Barn out in Southampton in 1983, and so I don't know. There's a lot of non-lethals that I do like. That cops should be using, but they're not. But they're I don't know. This whole technology thing is a bit scary, and I just hope we don't become like what's that? The Terminator, like they take over everything and then they blow everything up.
Well, I hope people consider this, and when I look at this technology, the spine and that, like, I am definitely more afraid of government controlling this than the technology itself, and my concern is that we're going to be held back from realizing the potential of this technology for real accountability for real crimes. But I think eventually, this sort of, rendering government obsolete, right? What if you have a device on you that that deploys pepper spray even if you're knocked out and disables someone who would be mugging you, and then muggings. What if there's a secure non-lethal device that you can carry in your pocket or your purse or your person, so that rapes and muggings just aren't a thing anymore? That's the potential of this technology, and I'm pretty excited about it overall.
Yeah, how do you determine that? Who's a rapist and who's not?
Well, we haven't gotten to the technology being smart enough yet, but I believe if we get government out of the way, it won't be far off.
Is people, the rapists, smell different, or do they have eye color? What is it about them that
okay? So the answer, Mike, the answer to this ultimately is let the market decide. Let the demands of you, the consumer, decide directly how you want resources and your money invested to keep you safe, as opposed to screw you, you're paying these taxes, i.e. we're stealing from you, and you don't really have a choice, but we'll let you vote on a few things every couple of years.
Well, first of all, you should stop paying taxes, especially income tax. Just stop paying.
I think we have our winner, but you already have a best call and an invitation to be in the producers
I
club.
mean, it's like, I mean, I'm going through this. I'm like I said, I'm 58. CJ could tell you, I got into this whole technology thing and voicing father's rights and all this stuff, and then from there I discovered this thing about the income tax, and for the last year and a half, Payman Mottahedeh with the Freedom Law School
Yes.
and Dave Champion with income
Yes.
shattering the myth. I'm out.
Yeah.
I stopped. And you want to know what? This question that, you know, people like to throw at you, you know, knowledge is power. Michael, knowledge is power, you know, but only certain types of knowledge. And if you have this knowledge and you put it into play, you know, and I've tried to explain to people, you know, they should really look into this. It's in their best interest. I don't convince them otherwise, but they'll tell me I'm crazy. That I'm, you know what I mean? That, you know, this whole thing about, you know, this whole thing with government we got going on right now is I don't understand why we want to keep funding them to keep screwing us. And that's really what's going on. We keep, you know, this whole flag waving stuff and protesting does nothing. Take it from the street cop. Does nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yep.
You could go out there and walk for miles. You could go out there, you know what I mean? And then we'll go home, and then April 15, everybody is paying for them to keep doing what they're doing to us.
Yep.
You know? And it doesn't even go to that. It goes to pay the interest on the national debt, which is not fucking, you know, which is, you know, it has to do with the bankers and all this stuff. But I mean, knowledge is power, but knowledge is also something that, you know, people are not ready for in this day and age. You know what I mean? I've tried to, you know, talk to some friends, and, you know, they look at me like I'm crazy. And I know I'm not, especially when, you know, I asked them to show me the evidence. And I'm crazy. I show them what I researched and what I read. It's very disappointing, you know what I mean? And I don't understand why I'm woke up. I don't understand how that really happened. And I kind of do because of the family rights thing, because it opened my mind to explore these other things. You know what I mean? And I don't trust nobody.
Do you have experience with a divorce or a CPS case or something like that?
My kids, both my sons were alienated from me for a couple of years, and I got them back, you know. But there's another aspect of that you know we could talk about. I became
I think we all understand, and this is why I'm such a fan of the Victims of Family Law effort that Chris Cole is leading. Is that, you know, even if you have a positive outcome, or even if it's the right outcome, it is so expensive and costly in energy and time and missed opportunities with your children. There's no way that anybody who's been through the system can say that we're not capable of doing better with a straight face.
You want to know what's funny is that, you know, I got my sons back in my life. I started a business with my oldest son, and nobody wants to know about the success stories. Nobody wants to know how I did it. And when I tell them, there's another thing where I'm like a little off the wall, because I did it pro per. I did it, you know, as my own person before court. I wanted to, and I risked it. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I told judges to their face, I ain't putting up with this no more. And it's funny how things changed, and I started asserting, you know, I told the judge, I'm standing upon the Constitution of the state of New York and that of the nation, and they don't want that on the record, because everything is procedure that skirts around it. And the fear has to be switched. They need to fear me more than I fear them. And the problem is, and the burdens are switched. They put the burden on us when the burden is on somebody else to show that I'm a bad guy otherwise. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, the whole thing with fee grab and this whole thing about, you're talking about the technology. That's all they're really going to use it for, is the fee grab. It's to separate us from our money. Government does two things. They want to control us and separate us from our property. That's the two things they do the best. They do the best, and they say, do it or else. That's what they say. And so what's the fight? Let's keep paying them every April. Yeah, let's keep filing our papers, making ourselves a citizen we're not. Let's sign under you know, threat of perjury, and give up our Fifth Amendment right when they come after us, so that the IRS could share all your personal information with the DOJ, FBI, NSA, all the alphabet soups. And we keep doing it. And when you try to tell people today, you don't have to do that no more, you're crazy. Let me know when you think that, I had one guy in the police group tell me, let me know when you get out of jail, how it worked out for you. And I'm not going to tell you what I told him, but that's just the way it is today. And it's very disappointing because people are just so slave-minded.
Yes.
Slave-minded. And I ask myself, how did I get so woke up? And am I crazy? Am I becoming the curmudgeon? Am I going to have to get rid of the beard so I look kind of like, especially the white beard? Am I going to be a miser? Am I going to be the miser in the house that guy's crazy?
Well, Mike, what you said earlier captured it so well that there is a switch that is a kind of waking up, or at least one part of being woke altogether, of self-actualization and self assertion and taking control of your life that most people don't have. And it's so like, this is the great tragedy of statism, is that people have been robbed of their state of natural inclination to take charge of their lives, to live fully engaged, assertive lives, and to at least try to live up their potential, as opposed to being a cog in the machine. And you think about what that represents for humanity, how much further along we would be with the creative and innovative potential of humanity unleashed, as opposed to so deeply institutionally stifled as it has been for, say, just even the last 100 years of modern bureaucratic statism.
I look back at my 24 years as a policeman, and I understand now what I was doing and what I was taught to do. That whole the fee grabbing thing, and now I understand why during many of those times I was so resistant to giving out tickets and to giving out summonses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I hated it. I hated it with a passion, But there's the other thing I want to ask you. You live in Arizona?
Yeah, the mountains, about an hour west of Flagstaff.
Yeah, next time I come to, my mom lives in Surprise.
Nice.
I'd like to come
Let's
visit.
make it happen. All right, we'll make it happen. Thanks for the call, Mike. We got a lot of high-tech headlines to get to still. Thanks for joining us. You're definitely in the lead now. Best call for the day. All right, goodnewsnetwork.org has now I'm frozen again. Goodnewsnetwork.org has this headline: this wood grown in a lab could cut deforestation with furniture made from plant cells. By the way, quick interlude here, promotion. Top super chat on youtube.com/Adam Kokesh or best call, both could win membership in the Producers Club today. All right, so as if lab-grown meat wasn't a head turner, a group of scientists at MIT are plotting lab-grown wood furniture. Yeah. The two projects are nearly identical, made by cultivating cells to divide and multiply into forms outside of their parent phylum, and the proof of concept study is a powerful first step towards finding alternatives to forestry. According to Velasquez Garcia, and team, using a leaf from a zinnia, they were able to grow plant-like tissues selectively, free from unnecessary organs. The researchers described in their corresponding paper how plant cells correspond well to tunability, and that the scalable land-free cultivation of plant material like wood for use in furniture making, for example, is very possible and even easier than what other scientists are doing with cell-cultured meat, the correct jargon for lab-grown meat. Now, if you recall, last time we did a Cutting Edge of Good News episode, we talked about building materials being made from mushrooms, that they're growing mushrooms specifically to form bricks. And it's going to be a bit of a race to see, like, what's going to replace wood as the new dominant building material, because at some point, something is not only going to be more environmentally friendly, as we have already, but more efficient. The idea of growing trees or going out and harvesting trees, and the loss of value of that as real estate compared to what you could do with it otherwise, is just again, market forces are going to make this happen faster than any government possibly could. In fact, I look at this and think of all the deforestation of the last few decades, and it's all the environment loss, the scientific potential, the life forms, the value destroyed in the rush for wood, for paper. I mean, shit, just paper. Hello, hemp. That's why the war on drugs really started, going back to the New York Times or what's his name who owned the paper mills. So there's gonna be some material that is a scale easier to produce, in any city, reprocessing some common materials, dirt or garbage. I mean, imagine if you could take mud even. Imagine if you could take mud and fluff it up in such a way that would give it some of the qualities of wood, as opposed to just what we're already doing with packed earth homes, which perhaps a combination with 3D printing may be. Wow, did I just come up with that? You could have 3D printed homes that are forms for packed earth that give you thermal mass. Someone write that down. All right, to popularmechanics.com, engineers are building huge salt caves to store huge amounts of hydrogen. If the hydrogen boom is ever going to happen, we need somewhere to keep the reserve. Yeah. A huge system of caves in Utah is the future home of a massive hydrogen energy project. The caves offer a natural alternative to thorny questions about storage of hydrogen. Hydrogen still needs to move further away from reliance on the fossil fuel industry. So anyway, just cool story, going to be in the notes if you really want to get into the engineering behind that. InterestingEngineering.com has our next headline. Super intelligent AI cannot be controlled, report warns. Researchers from the Max Planck Society assess humans' capability for controlling killer AI. And this is one of the fears, that you could create an artificial intelligence and program it incorrectly and unleash it, and it has so much capability that it runs wild and is uncontrollable and somehow turns into a apocalyptic situation. Scientists at the prestigious Max Planck Society in Europe say that with our current technology, humanity has no chance of controlling a super intelligent artificial intelligence capable of saving or destroying humanity. The Research Institute's paper, published last week in the Journal of Artificial Intelligence Research, focuses on humanity's reaction capability towards a hypothetical Skynet-style AI that decides to end humanity. If the super intelligent artificial intelligence of the future decided, as an example, that the most efficient way to end human suffering would be to simply end humanity, what would we do to stop it? That's the question posed by the people at Max Planck Society in their recently published research. The answer, with today's technology, we pretty much have to stand by and watch ourselves be obliterated. Yeah, that's why the researchers propose developing what they refer to as a containment algorithm that simulates the dangerous behavior of a superintelligent AI and prevents it from doing anything harmful. Well, let's hope that's successful. All right, just some more positive news, also from two sources from GoodNewsNetwork.org. And these are ones I got to go back to because I'm going to be researching. And I want to figure out how to apply this myself. Man hasn't been to the grocery store in 8 months thanks to really. No. We're going to plants, away from the Terminators and robots, CJ. All right, man hasn't been to the grocery store in 8 months thanks to tiny pandemic garden inspired by grandfather. Yeah. So if you want to get into the techniques, just one thing that's possible here. Also, from goodnewsnetwork.org, related gardening story, Englishman grows 500 types of edible foods with only a few hours work a month. This is a farm in England in the southwest where this guy for 20 years has been growing 500 types of food in what appears to be a temperate forest. So this is agroforestry, if you want to look at the term. And the guy behind this is Martin Crawford. So yeah, check that out. Now, just to geek out on cars for a second and point out how far we have come technologically, Fox 5 has this headline: Newark woman rescued from vehicle trapped in snow. She was trapped inside that vehicle for 5 days. Basically, you have so Janet Wood, 77, and this is a tragedy of poverty in America, told Reporters Thursday that she's homeless with benefits and lives in her minivan but goes to a hotel when it gets too cold outside. Drive away from the cold weather, please. And that this is like a common thing. We take for granted the miracle of auto technology, that you can survive in that, which gets us to our next story. And I share that I was considering sharing this in Human Innovation, but this is really just pointing out how a technology that's been with us for a long time is being applied now, a century later, to radically revolutionize the possibilities for human life. And I'm talking about living off grid in a mobile home, in an RV, something of that kind. Yahoo has this from The Guardian: off road, off grid, the modern nomads wandering America's back country. And the technology we're talking about, like it's been around for years, but we are at the point where it's like we talk about, internal combustion engines, electronics, what it takes to make a self-propelled, contained living unit that a human being can be comfortable in pretty much anywhere, with the only inputs being, electricity and water, and then external source of food. But now the electricity, I mean, a car charging it or solar, you've got that covered. And this is you've got the reliability of the technology is at a point where you can trust your life to one of these machines, at least your logistics, and go out and live off grid, or go drive into the mountains or off into the ocean in your aqua vehicle. No, we're not there yet, but that we could get to that point. Essentially, we have this on boats too, with houseboats, or boats that are big enough to live on. Although for most people that includes something logistically limiting and out of their price range. But a van that you can live in and live comfortably in, this is a technology that is still being realized to its full potential. And I would say, I observed as someone regularly with an RV and living on the road, maybe 5-10 years ago, there was a surge in retired people retiring into these big buses, the big bus RVs. So related to this is what you can do now with housing technology to be self-sufficient. And this next headline is from The Sun: preparing to fail. We're collapsologists living off the land. In case civilization crumbles, COVID proves we're right to be prepared. And they've got someone with their wooden house, and people living off-grid in Wales. So just a fun story if you want to get into that. So that now we get into our exploration block. Finally, we still have so much. Oh my gosh, so many stories to get to today. But we are taking calls. If you want to call or comment, we'll be getting those on screen. 2021 could be a huge year for space. Here's what's to come from NASA, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and Jeff Bezos. This is from Cron.com. We all know that 2020 was a no good, horrible, fearful, tumultuous year that will be remembered for the coronavirus pandemic, and for me having to interrupt the show to get up for a second while CJ plays cool graphics because I got to let my dog out. All right, Mr. Baloo. Okay, you too, JoJo. Go ahead, go play. Oh, really, CJ? Really? We're going Skynet and Terminator. Come on, we're talking about space exploration and positive stuff. All right, 3D print my roads. Yes. Well, the interesting thought out here. Living down 3 miles of private dirt road, and getting to go introduce myself to my neighbor who's plowed his section of it recently, and when the snow was on it. The scaling up of industrial capacity is going to make it very easy to have machines that pave roads, that grade and drop gravel and composite and whatever. And it's going to get cheaper and cheaper. But are we going to need them? Because where we're going, we're not going to need any roads. All right. But where this is going for space, SpaceX launched astronauts to the International Space Station twice. 2021. All right. So SpaceX. I'm gonna wait to get into all of this because we are getting late in the show. This is a really long story. We have too many fun stuff, too many fun specific things already that are redundant to this. We're gonna get to. The Washington Times: Biden cancels Elon Musk's adventures in space. Yeah, there had to be some political intersection here, right? The new president is making a space policy increasingly clear. America will remain grounded for the time being. Yeah, just no. The United States is in a titanic struggle with the People's Republic of China for the dominance of space. It's infinite. You don't have to dominate it. Although the Americans have been to the moon and sent multiple advanced probes to the surface of Mars since the end of the Cold War, U.S. space policy has languished in neutral due to this. New competitors, namely China, have arisen to challenge the dominance of the Americans in the ultimate strategic high ground of space. China has grand ambitions. Not only do they plan on beating Americans to the Martian surface by the end of the decade, but Beijing wants to control the vital orbits around the Earth. Of course, by controlling them, their military has significant advantages, obviously, and we're going to get to the story about strip mining the moon. So, Elon Musk here, the part of the silver bullet that America has, a vibrant and innovative private sector. So thanks to his reasonable rocket design, Mr. Musk's company has already cut down on launch costs by a staggering 40%. So the United States, however, has a new president. President Joe Biden is making his space policy preferences increasingly clear. America will remain grounded for the time being. Man, how's he? Okay, so America, but Elon Musk is not America. He's American, right? Or I don't know. Isn't he Dutch originally? Anyway, on January 28th, he's an alien. One of the lizard people for sure. So SpaceX on January 28th was set to put its Starship rocket through another test in the blue skies above Texas. The objective: get the massive rocket up to 12.5 kilometers, 7 miles, and then spin the giant rocket around so it can make a vertical landing. But it came crashing down when the Federal Aviation Administration, which under the Trump administration had allowed them to do this, ordered Mr. Musk to cancel the test. The FAA did not cite its reasoning behind the ordering of the cancellation of the launch. Many have speculated that it was brought about due to safety concerns. After all, in December 2020, SpaceX did a test of the experimental rocket, got the rocket up to 41,000 feet, and then it did a belly flop and ended in a massive explosion. But why would the FAA say, well, if it's not safe, you can't do it? You don't get to. They're not putting anybody else at risk. And if they were, they could make that case publicly. But this is pretty blatant interference in freedom of the market and really just human progress, like government. This is why we can't have nice things. Lastly, so this is potential counter thread here. Lastly, Mr. Musk has been publicly supportive of the recent GameStonk controversy. A group of anonymous individual investors on Reddit decided to engage in a little activism by inflating the stock price of GameStop. The video game retailer Melvin Capital, a Wall Street investment firm, was forced into bankruptcy by this move. They took the other side of the bet, attempting to short the GameStop stock. So the event was so significant that the Biden administration is vowing to prevent something like that from happening again. How? Maybe by putting the stonk on Mr. Musk. And since he was supportive of this, it is possible, according to the story from the Washington Times, that the Biden administration was punishing Mr. Musk by canceling the Starship launch at the last minute. And as the article says, it is not only Mr. Musk who suffers from the FAA's cancellation of the SpaceX flight. We, the American people, and the entire effort to beat China to Mars suffer. And that, fuck that. That is such a pathetic, nationalistically narrow model. No, this holds humanity back from being able to profit and benefit and have better lives as a result of innovation. This isn't the only, believe it or not, it's not the first time government did this. The Biden administration's decision to increase regulations on the private space launch services sector and slow down their operations is evidenced by the recent Starship launch cancellation will only help China in its ongoing mission to defeat America in the new space race. All right, so Daily Star is this. We mentioned in that last story, moon to become new Wild West as China, Russia, and the U.S. fight for mining rights on the moon. Yeah, experts have warned that in failing to engage Russia and China in the signing of a legal framework to allow mining on the moon, the U.S. exacerbated a national security threat. The moon. They're not out of space on the moon. All right, for a break for something fun from space, ScienceNews.org has this. Space station detectors found the source of weird blue jet lightning. A blue bang sparks an unusual type of lightning in the upper atmosphere. You kind of got to see this for yourself. If you're not watching this, CJ, you got to get this the actual picture from the story up here, because this is like possibly the coolest photo from space ever. Link in the notes if you're listening. Scientists have finally gotten a clear view of the spark that sets off an exotic type of lightning called a blue jet. I didn't even know that existed. All right, skipping over Investors Business Daily. If you want that, they have the headline: SpaceX Starship's second fiery landing now faces investigation. But now, fun news, positive stuff from Elon Musk. Elon Musk said more from Elon, seemingly dominant of every Friday show here on the cutting edge of so much good news. Elon Musk says Mars economy will run on cryptocurrency, according to the Independent. SpaceX recently sparked controversy after stating it would not recognize international law in outer space. Yeah, why would it? SpaceX CEO Elon Musk has said any future economy on Mars could be cryptocurrency based. The tech billionaire, who's one of the co-founders of online payments giant PayPal, hopes to send the first humans to Mars as early as 2024, with the ultimate aim of setting up a self-sustaining city on Mars as soon as possible. Yeah, the future is crypto. Popular Mechanics says this headline: the unusual rocket thruster that will send humans to Mars. So it's a new rocket, or a new nuclear fusion rocket concept using magnetic fields to make thrust. And this is from a Department of Energy physicist, believe it or not. I'm not going to get into this story anymore before it sounds like I really don't know what I'm talking about. Entrepreneur.com. NASA one step away from exploring the asteroid Psyche 16, whose value exceeds thousands of times the global economy. Now, this is one of those things like, okay, if you had a giant asteroid made of gold that had the value of the global economy and it landed on Earth, it wouldn't destroy the economy so much as the price of gold. That's how supply and demand works. But it is an interesting way to consider the value of the mineable resources in a meteor. NASA's Psyche mission is progressing considerably just a year and a half from launch to explore the most valuable asteroid. They are already about to assemble and test the spacecraft that will make it possible. Yeah, we're there. Now, one of the other things fueling this, aside from mining outer space, the Washington Post has this headline: meet the people paying $55 million each to fly to the space station. Yep. Two are grandfathers. The other has 3 young children. All 3 are extremely wealthy with the means to pay the $55 million ticket price for an 8-day stay on the International Space Station. They are the first would-be spaceflight crew comprised entirely of private citizens in a mission to the station. Now, this is a really cool story that it's finally happening, and a lot of people, there are a lot of things wrong with this story. Like, why do most of those people have that much money to begin with? Only due to the unnatural concentrations of wealth and power made by fiat currencies and corporatism. But if you think back to, how much even concentrated wealth is legitimately gained or even illegitimately gained, why not have those people able to spend that money on space tourism in a way that would drive the development of the technology forward? You think about all the money that people are spending right now just locking down tickets for private space flights, and there's some you can spend, I think, a few $100,000 and go into low, like it's almost passe. I'm pretty sure you can spend a couple $100,000 and get into low Earth orbit, right? Yeah, you can. That's a thing. And you think of all the money over time that could have gone into space exploration, but didn't because government stopped it from happening. Then, you go, wow, one more giant cost of government holding back technology and human development. New York Post says this: SpaceX launching world's first all-civilian mission. Would you want to explore outer space without an astronaut? Well, you're only an astronaut if government says you're an astronaut. SpaceX is planning to launch 4 private citizens into orbit around the Earth by the end of this year, it said Monday in a press release. The mission, known as Inspiration 4, is called the world's first all-civilian mission. Yeah, pretty cool. That's happening. That's a thing. All right, and that's it for our exploration section, at least technically a block for the cutting edge in exploration. CJ, should we check in with Jim before we talk about aliens? Mercantilism. Yes, blind justice weighs in. Mercantilism, a way of describing a certain vicious part of the government intervention in the market racket of favoring certain economic interests.
For sure. So, First Domino says Von Braun wrote a book with Elon's name in it, and he would take us to Mars. Weird. Do you know anything about that?
No. Is that some? Yeah.
You're ripped out of your mind. You look baked.
Do I?
I don't know. He might be talking to a mirror. Maybe that's what. Maybe he's baked.
I mean, no. I mean, do I? Seriously, do I? I mean, I haven't smoked weed this morning, and I'm not like just pleasantly buzzed to get through a Friday show, but I don't want to look baked. Do I look baked? Got a mirror here. Nope, not. No,
Smoke
I'm
weed
here. If I don't look baked enough, let me fix that.
Smoke weed every day.
All right, so we'll come back and check in with the comments and callers in a few minutes here, but we're going to get through our alien block and then our cutting edge of understanding nature very quickly. Fun, good news in that segment for sure. So, DNYUZ has this headline.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
I want to believe in the truth. Our alien block today starts with a story from DNYUZ.com. Did an alien life form do a drive-by of our solar system in 2017? By Avi Loeb. On November 12, 2018, Avi Loeb, then the chairman of the astronomy department at Harvard and a young research associate, Shmuel Bialy, published a paper in the highly prestigious astrophysical journal Letters, arguing that humans may have discovered the first evidence of alien technology in the form of a mysterious object called Oumuamua. 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 Yeah. Oumuamua. Yeah, that's it. And then it streaked through the solar system the previous fall. Reporters flocked to his door. I was not one of them because I thought the claim was clever and bold but far-fetched, and I still do, much as I wish it were true. Few of his scientific colleagues agree with him, as Loeb will be the first to tell you in his new book, Extraterrestrial, which is part graceful memoir and part plea for keeping an open mind about the possibilities of what is out there in the universe, in particular life. Otherwise, he says, we might miss something amazing, like the church officials in the 17th century who refused to look through Galileo's telescope. Are we, both scientists and lay people, ready, he asks in his introduction. Is human civilization ready to confront what follows our accepting the plausible conclusion arrived at through evidence-backed hypotheses that terrestrial life isn't unique and perhaps not even particularly impressive? I fear the answer is no, and that prevailing prejudice is a cause for concern. Oumuamua, Hawaiian for scout, was first noticed by a telescope on the island of Maui on October 19, 2017, when it was already on its way out of the solar system, having passed closest to the sun a month before. It had come from outside the solar system, from the direction of the star Vega. Nobody ever got a picture of the object. But from how its brightness varied as it apparently tumbled, astrophysicists were able to deduce that it was about a quarter mile across and at least 5 to 10 times longer than it was wide. Yeah, an artist's interpretation of reddish cigar-shaped rock was widely reproduced based on some surprising herky-jerky motions as it departed our realm. Astronomers concluded that Oumuamua was a weird comet. Such objects often get accelerated by jets of evaporating gases on their surface, although in this case no evaporating gases were detected. But Loeb argues that it is no more preposterous to suppose that Oumuamua was a light sail, a material that gets its propulsive boost from sunlight or starlight, either launched in our direction or anchored like a buoy in space, where we ran into it on our planet's travel around the galaxy, in which case the age-old question, are we alone in the universe, has been answered. Although, if this was what they say it is, it shouldn't be long before there's another, and another, and another, and eventually something that we'll be able to have contact with. So as he writes toward the end of his half memoir, half soaring monologue, but the moment we know that we are not alone, that we are almost certainly not the most advanced civilization ever to have existed in the cosmos, we will realize that we've spent more funds developing the means to destroy all life on the planet than it would have cost to preserve it. And that's one of the greatest things I think about these kinds of stories. CJ writes, "It's a poop. This is Photoshop." Yeah. Okay. Thank you, CJ, for that intelligent comment. We're, no, but one of the things I love about these stories is that they force a kind of human global family self-consciousness. The stories that you hear about, well, aliens came by, but they saw that we were a bunch of assholes and we're like, let's wait till they actually get civilized. And you go, yeah, shit, if I was a superhuman and smart enough and was landing on another planet and I saw that it was like this one and I could know that I would live for thousands of years with life extension technology, I might go, yeah, let's wait till they get to the next level. And that kind of self-consciousness can be a positive call to change. All right, space.com. Scientists spot 6 alien worlds orbiting a star in strange but precise harmony. The planets around a star called TOI 178 know how to keep a beat so smoothly, in fact, that scientists were able to discover new alien worlds by deciphering the system's music. Astronomers pouring through data from NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, TESS, discovered 3 planets around a star dubbed TOI 178. TOI stands for Test Object of Interest. And when scientists looked at these observations more closely, they realized that the worlds seemed to be keeping time against each other. So they recruited some more instruments and discovered the system hosts at least 6 planets, 5 of which tick off orbits in rhythm with the others. And unlike those of other synchronized systems, the planets are an unusually mixed bag. So, cool thing. Could be life manipulating planets somewhere else across the systems. Motherboard on Vice says this: U.S. Navy has patents on tech it says will engineer the fabric of reality. Sorry, we're gonna have to come back to that on our next show, and I think that's because that deserves a little more getting into. And that's it for our alien blog. Now to understanding nature. Just a bunch of really positive headlines we're going to breeze through quick before we get to your comments. See if we got another caller on the line. Check in with Jim. Newsweek: massive snakes on the loose in small town worry residents. Yeah, this is a Burmese python, apparently in Greenock, Scotland, thanks to pet owners letting them go away. And we know this is something that's been a huge problem in Florida, despite Burmese pythons being native to Southeast Asia. In the swamps of Florida, they've been able to get huge and pose such a hazard that people are actually hunting and eating them now. And I bet they taste like chicken. So yeah, just a cool thing to see that we're understanding this. Where we go with this, it is a kind of struggle of population control when introductions of alien species become problematic. Now we have a bunch from goodnewsnetwork.org. 30 years after big eruption put volcano mouse on the extinct list, research reveals it's doing great. A small mouse found to live only on and surrounding a volcano in the Philippines has seemingly remained unscathed after the mountain exploded in what was the largest eruption in the 20th century. Details on the long-nosed Luzon apomus are scant in good times, but after surveying the damage the eruption caused to the ecosystem, it was presumed they would have mostly vanished, much to Eric Rickart's surprise. The apomus, sometimes called the Mount Pinatubo volcano mouse, is doing just fine. Good to know. Also, goodnewsnetwork.org: dinosaur unearthed in Argentina could be the largest animal that ever walked the earth. The discovery 9 years in the making may have yielded the largest land animal in our planet's history. Now, remember, earlier in the show when Peter Yapel and the Producers Club sent us the link to the mummy with the golden tongue, and I said, look, eventually we're just going to be able to scan the entire earth. Imagine when we're going to have a machine eventually that we just cover this area, dig up every fossil, and it will. Like, yeah. All right, Retribution in the producers chat says, really does look like a turd, just saying. CJ is right. They are laughing at us. You're all right. You want let's ask the skeptical question here, right? To these scientists. Mr. Scientist trying to tell me that little floating turd in space is really an alien craft of some kind with a light sail on it? Is it possible they just sat in and were like, let's see how many people we can convince this turd looking meteor is actually an alien spaceship? And they figured out a way to do it, right? All right, no, but back to this. The bones found in 2012 in Argentina consisted of 24 humongous tail vertebrae as well as parts of the pectoral girdle and pelvis, which indicate they could be a new member of the species Titanosauria, a group of sauropod dinosaurs that just wouldn't stop growing. Is that how they got like that? 60 to 20 million years before a meteor ended their reign, gigantic dinosaurs were really hitting their stride, and the landmass which formed modern-day South America, Titanosauria, were reaching his heights, or I was going to say historic heights. I don't know why my brain put that in there. Tried. And lengths never before or since seen on Earth as members, such as Patagon Titan, named after Patagonia, where it was found, could reach up to 76 tons and grow to 122 feet from nose to tail. Yeah. Now, a titanosaur from 98 million years ago on Earth in the Candelaros Formation in Argentina's Neuquén province is threatening to take the crown of biggest sauropod dinosaur ever found. Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll come back to this one when it's official. Now, CJ skipping ahead 3 stories here. Another one from Good News Network. 4-year-old girl finds dinosaur footprint on a beach from 250 million years ago. Yeah, so much undiscovered. When you think about the average day in the life of a toddler, crayons and cartoons likely come to mind. Discovering an immaculately preserved 215 million year old dinosaur footprint? Probably not, but that's just what happened when 4-year-old Lily Wilder was taking a nature walk with her father on a rocky beach at Bendrix Bay near the Welsh town of Barry last month. The indented impression spotted by eagled eye Lily measures just shy of 4 inches. Experts believe it was created by a 2-footed dinosaur that likely stood about 30 inches tall and was 8.2 feet long. Yeah. Its species, one that's not been seen before, is a mystery that set the scientific community alight. Carl James Langford of Archaeology Cymru hailed the find as the finest impression of a 250 million year old dinosaur print found in Britain in a decade. Lily saw it when they were walking along and said, "Daddy, look!" Yep, and sometimes that's how history is made and discovered. All right, back to the pile from Good News Network. Porpoises rebound in a big way following California ban on indiscriminate fishing nets. Now, of course, not really good news that we had to have government come in and do this because it interfered with the market in the first place. It would have favored preservation of value, but at least we are catching up in that sense. And here's to the porpoises. Similarly, next headline, rockfish populations rebound after strict management decades ahead of the expected date. Yeah, it's happening. We're going to need something to clean up all the plastic in the ocean, but we'll get there. All right, I told you we had a global warming story. Fox8.com, Earth heats up due to pandemics, cleaner air. Yep. Because the air is cleaner from the lockdowns, the temperature has gone up as much as half to 2/3 of a degree. That makes a big difference. That's due to less soot and sulfate particles from car exhaust and burning coal, which normally cool the atmosphere temporarily by reflecting the sun's heat. Now, see, this suggests that there's some other conspiratorial motive behind this whole COVID hysteria, right? And that it could be just that all these global warming alarmists came up with this as how do we address pollution? And you know what, it would suggest that China, having some of the worst polluted cities in the world, might have the incentive to do this, to say, you know, we have to find a way to gently restrict people's motions and consumption of fossil fuels and create new incentives for efficiency and blah, 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 and then it's COVID. At least there's one other incentive in this great conspiracy of conspiracies for you. Oh, yeah, weren't we supposed to be talking about good news? Let's get comment Jim Freedom up on stage here to round out the show. Jim, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I love technology and wondering about the possibilities. I like the alien block just because I like the possibility of aliens. I like to read more about it. Sixth Estate, Arizona is an hour. What you said when you said you were an hour west, he said of him or her, whoever. They want to have coffee. Yeah.
Oh.
So you should have coffee sometime.
We'll have, when the weather gets a little nicer and we get the house set up here, we'll have some more sort of semi-public events. And by that I mean like it'll just be, all of our friends in the area who have reached out. We'll do some Saturday evening parties and some barbecues and cook some pizzas in the rocket oven. Jim, you got to come back and cook some Saturday or Sunday. This Sunday, right? You're gonna come up here and get your jersey and your laptop.
Yeah, my laptop sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's some shit with your name on it, but yeah.
Literally.
Here, bring a couple frozen pizzas or something fun. We'll do. I think the weather Sunday should be clear, warm enough at least to hang out outside and do some fires. It's about time. We haven't had a campfire here in at least I guess really good one in about a month.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you should get that going. JHH says it's interesting to know that the word news only means northeast, west, and south. NEWS northeast,
west, and south.
NEW.
No, it's never eat shredded wheat. Duh. It makes me want to go eat some shredded wheat.
Empty Matter wants to join you with Six Estate. You got a little gathering starting up going on whenever it gets warmer. They should all email you. One more thing. They should all email you at streamline.com for any copy suggestions. Mike G is the winner today, so he could please email me at jim@thefreedomline.com, and I'll get him set up in the Producers Club. I just wanted to not forget to say that, so go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Play us out with the promos, Jim.
Oh, okay. Well, visit adamversusman.com like you see on the bottom of the page, and visit the website. Once you're there, click on the Patreon link to see different ways you can support the show. $1, $5, $10, or $50 a month. $10 a month is really the sweet spot that gets you access to the Producers Club, which Mike won access to today through the contest. But if you don't want to wait for a contest, you can just buy your access through there, or you can visit the public Telegram channel right there at t.me/AdamVersusMan. After you're done doing that, go back to the website, visit the store that CJ's put together, check out all the hats, socks. We even got underwear, flip-flops, towels, coffee mugs, bean bags, everything you can think of, everything that we could think of to put our logos on the merch. So buy that out, help us out, and enjoy your merch. Send a picture of yourself with it and tag Adam on Twitter, and I'm sure he would like that. CigarFederation.com. Mike mentioned that he likes cigars, so hopefully he'll be visiting CigarFederation.com soon, where he can use promo code ADAM10, ADAM10, all caps, gets you 10% off your entire order over there at CigarFederation.com. And then after you're done with all that, relax and enjoy all the beautiful pictures on the Garden of Freedom Instagram page. And hit the little follow button so that you get new notifications for when Adam starts posting all the new stuff and all the beautiful winter pictures he has saved up that he hasn't got to posting yet. So that's it. Back to you, Adam.
Beautiful. Well, that's it. Plenty of good news. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. A little too much politics in my good news for my taste, but we managed to have a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And I think any call to say, look at what is on the horizon, is not just a call to look forward, but to appreciate it in contrast to the present and the past and see how far we have come and how much potential we have in every moment. And with that, peace and love, y'all. Choose happiness. Be excellent to each other.